Oh, I have a second hand now. Okay, so I'm not officially going to start until that gets to 8 o'clock down below my name. If you can't see that, just trust me. It's almost, we have 15 seconds to go, and then we will officially start.
Nice.
I know. It's like New Year's Eve countdown.
You look very fancily attired this morning.
Well, I thank you. I'm wearing a suit jacket, and it's amazing. I'm not wearing any pants at all. No, that's not true. I am wearing pants. Well, good morning. That's quite a note to start on. Good morning, everyone. Glad you're here. This is the Saturday service. I'm Rabbi Brian. It says so right there, so that's how I know. I'm joined, and more people are still joining, so we'll get to them. I wanted to start with this introduction. And by a show of hands, how many of us enjoyed Mad Libs? Oh, great. Everybody.
I don't know if there was enough pause to get a good read on that end.
Oh, I knew everyone was going to raise their hand. So welcome to the blank spiritual religious service. Your host today is the blank, blank Rabbi Brian. We hope you will blank and continue to blank. I could use a little bit of help from my friends here. So welcome to the blank spiritual religious service. What word goes in there?
Saturday.
To the Saturday spiritual religious service. Do we have any other words that could possibly fit? Yes, there's an infinite number, but what other word do you think would fit in there? Welcome to the blank spiritual.
No, wait, I gotta turn it on. Inspiring.
Inspiring. That's a good one. I was going with the very live. What else do you have?
Whenever you say welcome to, I always automatically think the Thunderdome.
Welcome.
When anybody says welcome to, I always think welcome to the Thunderdome.
If I recall, that was like
spiritual religious.
The welcome to the Thunderdome spiritual religious service. That's going to be a first one. Ron, you had another word out there.
The deeply spiritual.
Oh, welcome to the deeply spiritual religious service. Welcome to the Saturday spiritual religious service. Your host today is the blank, blank Rabbi Brian. Now, I'm going to take all the suck up answers that I can get at this point.
The good looking.
Good looking. Whoever said good looking, you will be blessed with the ability to buy trousers always on sale. Mazel tov. What other words could go in here? What today? Your host today is the
non-medical doctor.
The non-medical doctor, stalwart. I do enjoy the word Rabbi. Stalwart. Thank you, Maria.
Rabbi.
The eloquent and always handsome.
The eloquent and always handsome. I am wearing a suit jacket today, and I think that works.
Ooh,
we hope you fancy. Will blank.
The author and rebel.
Okay, the author and rebel, right. Rabbi Brian. That's fantastic. I like that. Thank you, Jack.
We hope you will donate large sums of money.
We hope you will donate large sums of money. That's a good one. Hope you will.
Be inspired.
We hope you will be inspired and continue to
grow.
Never give up.
Come back.
Come back.
Oh, come back.
Those are all wonderful answers. Let me show, if you're watching at home, here's a group of people who are joining. Everyone wave, say hello to all the peoples. Hello to all the peoples.
Hello, people.
And if the peoples would like to join, you can join us here at this service if you go to rotb.org. Go to rotb.org. Oh, also, let me say hello to the people who are on Facebook. I got Magnificent Rabbi Brian and the Inspiring Rabbi Brian. So thank you, Scott, for adding those things in. You're welcome to chat on Facebook. You're also welcome to chat here in the service. I do not read the chats until later because there's too much going on. I find it distracting. But if you're on Facebook, it's a great way for you to communicate with others. You can also do the same thing on YouTube. So I'm posting a little hello to all the people watching. And if you're watching later, if you're not watching live, I'm glad that you're doing that. I want to make a special shout out to Sherry Miller, who is watching from a hospital bed this morning, having a little bit of surgery, and we hope that you get better soon. Let's start with a little bit of review. Show of hands. Let's do it this way. No, we're going to do review. We're going to do a little bit of review. Here was what we sent out last week, the end of last week's service. Here were the 2 spiritual religious thoughts. Much of the time, the people who annoy us are trying to help. Ugh. Much of the time, the people who annoy us are actually trying to help. And the other thing we have...
Help themselves?
Help themselves. No, I meant they're trying... Nobody sets out in the morning and goes, how can I be dastardly and try to make life harder for the most number of people? Very, very few people set out to do that. People are trying their best. They're trying their hardest. I had that last night with my beloved son, and I got up and on his case because to me it didn't seem like he was doing enough. And he was really flattened by my criticism of him because he said, Dad, I don't know what it is you expect me to do.
Oh.
He was trying to help. Not doing it very well according to my standard, but he was trying to help, and me telling him otherwise crushed him. And I'm going to tell a little story. I don't know what order to do it in. So let's just go with number 2 first, which is be kind to people who aren't. They're the ones who need it the most. And I'm like at a 3-way fork in the road right now, and I'm going to just take a moment and tell myself that it really doesn't matter which one of the 3 ways down the road I go. It's going to be just fine.
Right.
Yeah. And that reminds me of a little thing. Is our friend Meg I don't see Meg on the screen, but there's something that Meg talked about, which we gave the eponymous name Meg's Law to. And Meg's Law says that once you make a decision, decide that was the right decision. Meg's Law says once you make a decision, decide that was the right decision. I see a lot of people have this problem on menus. They decide between 3 things on a menu, and then they pick one, and then they spend the entire meal thinking, oh, I should have gotten that other thing. So let's take a moment. I'm going to take a moment to practice Meg's Law and say whichever way that I go is going to be the right way to go for right now. And here's how we're going to go. First, let me ask, and then we'll go to some new material. But does anyone have any follow-ups on what we talked about last week? Either the 2 things that were just on the screen, we talked about unsolicited advice last week. We talked about a Sabbath last week. And anything you want to talk, any feedback, any aha, brilliant moments that you had that you're dying to share? I'm looking around. I don't see anybody flagging me down. John, there's John. Go ahead, John.
What happens if you change the order in number 1?
Number 1 says, much of the time the people who annoy us are trying to help. How do I change the order of that?
Much of the time people who are trying to help are annoying.
Much of the time people who are trying to help are annoying. Okay, keep going, John. What do you do with that? Does that mean
the same thing, or does that change?
Well, they're annoying. Annoying is not empirical. I can't in a laboratory say that what they're doing is annoying. Somebody poking at you going, dink, 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 dink. Well, hold on. Let me get that out of the screen so I can make it. Somebody doing this, dink, 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 dink. That's only annoying if you find it annoying.
Yep.
Anne, you have your hand raised. What do you got?
Yeah, for me, the difference between what John said and what you said
is John just putting the emphasis on annoying.
Much of the time, people who are annoying are trying to help. Much of the time, people who are trying to help are annoying.
They're annoying. So it's like you're focusing on the annoyance, whereas yours is focusing on, hey, wait, they're trying to help.
Yeah.
So yours has a more positive spin on it.
Well, and thank you, Anne. That, folks, hi, Rabbi Brian here. That's the point. A lot of this is up to us. A lot of this is up to us and our attitude.
Puppy.
I think that was someone talking to their dog. Much of the time, people who annoy us are trying to help. I'm pretty sure whoever was just talking to their dog with their mic unmuted, was that annoying?
Mm-hmm.
Possibly. It was annoying, possibly, sure. Based upon what is somebody talking to their dog? Oh, it's okay. It's okay. If it was completely forgiven, and thank you for helping us with this example for having talked to your dog with your mic unmuted. Was that annoying? Yes or no? And why was it annoying? And I know for me, it depends on my mood. If I didn't sleep the night before, I'm going to find more things annoying. If I'm hungry, I'm going to find more things annoying.
Hey, Brian.
Hi, Jordan.
Good morning. John's formulation kind of puts the emphasis back on unsolicited advice, which is
you're going to have to, I'm sure you're right, but I do not understand. So let me understand. Much of the time, people who are trying to help are annoying.
So unsolicited advice is people trying to help, which can be annoying.
Unsolicited advice. Say that whole sentence again. Unsolicited advice
is people who are trying to help, which can be annoying.
Unsolicited advice is people who are trying to help, which may or may not be annoying, depending on how we take it.
Right.
Folks, this is, I think, the heart of religion is that there's only... I wrote it this way.
Wow.
That's why I have these things posted around my office. You literally... Focus. There it is. You literally control one thing. Steer that ship towards love.
Aww. Aww.
You literally have control over one thing. And I'll tell you what that is. It's not the other person.
No.
It's you.
It's you.
It's you.
And that's what we're doing here, is we're reminding ourselves that there's one thing we can control. Betsy, you got a comment. Bring it in.
Hey, we can choose when people give unsolicited advice that we don't need. We can say no, thank you, like the dirty Kleenex.
All right, let me just do this one more time. Hey, would you like this tissue? And everyone says,
No, thank you.
No,
thank you.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
and somebody says to you, hey, you just won the, wait a moment, I have it here. You just won the 1D10T award. You just won the 1T10, wait, let me get it right. I'm going to write it down here so you can all see. Hey, you just won the 1D10T award. The 1D10T award. If somebody tries to give you the 1D10T award, I'll give you a hint. What do you say?
No, thank you.
you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Now, let's say you happen to be in a car with a 14-year-old driving her on the way to Axe League, and you happen to belch because you think that this 14-year-old to whom you are related wouldn't care. This is just a hypothetical example.
No experience involved, right?
I'm just saying. And let's say that 14-year-old lambasts you. I've told you 500 times not to do that. All right, let me own it. That happened to me. That was Wednesday.
Really?
Yeah. Not saying who I was with, but that was me. And I got given quite a dirty tissue. I've told you 500 times not to do that. Well, I've counted, and the number of times I had been told not to do that was precisely 0. Folks, I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to take a moment just to be proud of me. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." It took all the willpower I had not to say, "Are you fucking kidding me? You fart like a sailor."
What do you do with a drunken sailor?
I didn't say that. I somehow managed in me to say, "Oh, I'm sorry." And you know what? That was it. I avoided the minefield. I avoided the bomb. I didn't bite the hook.
For you.
Thank you. I'm feeling good for me. Somebody gives you a 1D10T award. You have the I don't want to say you have the right to just say, and Alex, I'm going to keep coming back to you because I heard you say this and I'm ascribing it to you if you didn't say it, is that sometimes you just have to talk to somebody. You sometimes have to talk to an adult like they're a 4-year-old who just called you a poopy head. And I'm pretty sure. All right, let me ask. I want to show of hands here. How many of you, if a 4-year-old came up to you and said, "You're a poopy head," how many of you would tell that little fucker where to go? How many of you would say, like, right? You wouldn't do that. How many
times
of
in
you?
a row have they said it?
They're 4 years old, Aaron. They're a quarter of your height at best.
Yeah, I got you.
How many of us would know what to say to a 4-year-old who said, "You're a stinky poo-poo head"?
Never.
And how many of us, when it's not a 4-year-old, bite that hook and take it in with a little bit more heat, and we respond badly? I'll tell you what I want to do, but I don't really want to do it. So I was going to have us break into groups, and I was going to have each of you in the small group turn to the next person and say, "You're a stinky poo-poo head."
No.
No, don't do that.
I'm not. No.
Thank you for not doing that.
Thank you, Al,
no.
for thanking
No,
him.
thank you.
I'm not playing that one. No.
I don't
You guys
think
really encouraging them to do it.
Say it again, John. I didn't hear exactly what you said.
I said, all those people who are saying good for you for not doing it, they're just encouraging you to do it anyways.
Ain't it the truth?
John, you're a stinky poo-poo head.
I work very hard to achieve that honor.
Right? Right? If you can, that's a perfect response. It's a perfect response because you're not taking it in. You're deflecting. You're letting, it's Aikido. We're talking about spiritual Aikido here. Aikido's whole notion was somebody comes at you with a force. the best thing you can do is to step aside and push them on their way forward. Someone calls you a stinky poo-poo head, you can say, oh my gosh, I am honored. I've been working on that title for years.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
This is, let me be very clear here. This is a lot easier to understand than to practice.
Yes. Thank you for that, because that's true.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, or fortunately, you will get practice.
Yes.
Someone this week is going to tell you that you deserve a 1D10T award.
No, they're not.
Wait a moment. I'm going to make this a little bit deeper.
Uh-oh.
The person telling you you're a fucking idiot might actually live in your own head.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you have the right to say to that critical negative voice, I've been working for years on getting that title. You have the right to say to that voice, no, thank you. You have the right to treat that voice like an insolent 4-year-old who just told you something that you didn't want to hear.
Mm.
I'm going to pause there because that's a huge thing for us all to take in. We have the right, even if it's ourselves telling us that we are a mistake and that we are the problem, we have the right to say, no, thank you. Okay. Good job, team.
Pretty, Amika.
Oh, well, thank you very kindly. I don't remember if this one is Anne. Do you recognize this material?
Yeah, it might be. I think it's.
Is that one that you spun? Anne spins yarn and sometimes sends me some, and I make the most beautiful keypote out of it. Bob Schaefer, you have your hand raised. What's up, bud?
Yes, I'm wondering where that 14-year-old and 4-year-old learned all of that.
Where do the 14-year-old and 4-year-old learn to say cruel things?
Yes.
First place is the playground.
Yeah. I think it's just natural for us to think that the problems are coming from outside of us.
At home.
It's natural for us to think that the reason I'm not happy is because something outside of me is not working, because someone outside is not doing the thing that I want them to do. Oh, wait a moment. That brings me into this that I prepared for today. Below what percentage of reality not conforming to your plans do you find unacceptable? Okay, we might have to wordsmith that, but
yeah, depends on the reality.
What I'm trying to ask is, what percentage of reality not going the way you think it should do you find to be unacceptable? Do you think that reality should go 100% according to your plans? And do you find it unacceptable when 0.1% of reality is not according to your plan?
May I just say that stings a little bit?
That does sting a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Why does that sting a little bit, Joe?
Well,
true.
Because
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob. I think it stings a little bit because, and I'm going to use just a term that makes it make sense to me. I grew up in what's called like Cinderella syndrome world, right?
Okay.
And so one of the first media things as a kid I was exposed to was the movie Cinderella, where everybody is happy in the end and it all turns out wonderful after all. And no one ever told me that that was a fairy tale. And so because I was little when I watched it, no one ever explained that's not what life's really like. I took it as a literal explanation of what life's supposed to be like.
We all think that things are supposed to go according to our plan. I don't know that that's just the movie. I think people were having this problem before cinema.
Okay, that's fair.
We all think that it all should work out according. I think it's just what we're saying is it's natural. It's natural for us to believe that things should go according to my plan.
The pandemic changed that.
The pandemic was not according to my plan. My question is, should reality go 100% according to how you think it should go? And how do you lower that number? What do you do?
Don't expect anything.
That's a great answer, Rob. The less you expect things to go according to your plan, the better off you're going to be.
Problem is our plan changes minute by minute. We don't really know what we're doing.
It's a bad plan.
Exactly.
We plan for it to go according to how we wish it to go at every moment.
Exactly.
This is sorry.
Go, Afia. Yeah. Go. Preach.
Sorry. It's reminding me of two things. There's this gospel song that starts with I wish, obviously the singer is speaking to the God concept, person, entity, whatever, and says, I wish that I could tell you what I want and you'd give it to me just like that. But the truth of the matter is I know that what I want just might hurt me. And so you won't let me go out like that. And it reminds me of the Ignatian process of discernment where like we can want, like I want to eat ice cream for dinner. And so I can have and this is like a pared down version of like this question around plans, but like basically we can have these desires and build out plans around them, but we don't always know if the desire is actually in our best interest. And so until we know that, sometimes plans not working according to our own version of reality is actually a good thing, but because we didn't know that the desire was built on something that actually doesn't serve our best interest, we get caught in a whole cycle of suffering. And so I don't have an answer for like how you lessen it because I'm still learning that, but it just makes me think about I've been trying to do my own work around that. Like, do my desires match my needs, or do my desires match an ego desire that actually just sets me up for a lot of suffering? And then how much investment do I have in a plan if I don't know the nature of the desire to begin with, you know?
So I thank you, Afia. The problem we're getting is we have plans.
Right.
It's the attachment to our plan that gets us this suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And it would seem...
There you are, my dear friend.
Hi, Pam. Glad you're here. It would seem that it behooves us to be a little bit more flexible and be able to say, oh, I guess that happened.
Yeah.
John and then Rita.
I think the important thing to me is to have plans. If I don't have some plans, then if I just let things happen, then there's no growth. I have to be prepared to roll with the punches or any other descriptions you want to give it. I have to be prepared to alter my plans or develop new plans or...
Can I have loose plans?
Oh, I like that.
Have whatever you want.
The looser I am with my plans, it's that image of open-handedness, of not holding tight. Rita, what do you have?
Well, on the link that I clicked to come to the meeting, every Saturday morning, I have 2 quotes that I find helpful. One is, forgiveness is the ultimate freedom. And that's for oneself, too. I learn from you. And the other is, sometimes when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Say that again, because it sounded pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty, I thought that was smart. Sometimes when you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at change.
Right?
Oh,
if you
yeah.
stop looking at that person as annoying and you start looking at them as they're trying to help, that's going to change everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say that again, Rita. If you change looking at that person as annoying and you start seeing them as that person's trying to help, that's going to change everything.
Yeah.
See it from a different angle.
We see it from a different angle. If we see it, not that they're trying to micromanage me, but we see it that they're trying to be of help. They're failing miserably, of course, but they're trying to be of help. Ron and Linda, go ahead.
When we just did a trip for our 35th wedding anniversary, and on the way down to San Diego to the little Quaker meeting where we were married 35 years ago, we pulled into a campsite and the dog was on a tether and ran around, and the tether came between my toes and my sandals. I tripped, fell down, and the toes bent back over the and
Ow.
It was incredibly painful. Still is. But the trip had been built around hiking. And we were going to come back on 395 on the east side of the Sierras and hit all the spots, Mono Lake and Lassen and whatnot. And we just decided to come home. And I kept in my mind, and I still am keeping in my mind, that this, although was incredibly disappointing, there was some reason I needed to come back early.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so that is...
It's holding the plan, but being loose to let it change.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Linda.
Yeah, I just have
Thank
a
you,
really short quote from Richard Rohr.
Please.
And he says, "In the light of eternity, will this really matter?" Which I think sums up a lot for me.
That's it.
In the light of reality,
In the light of eternity.
Eternity. In the light of eternity, does this really matter?
Yeah, will this really matter?
That brings me back to that notion that a spiritual life has values in it. And what is our value peace, or is our value me making things happen according to my plan? Things going my way, which is more important? Things going my way or me having peace? Now, I'm not saying we should be a doormat and let everything happen to us, but we can loosen up some. I'm gonna give us a quote. The proper response to when your dog trips around your leg, yanks the leash, and almost breaks your foot off. The proper response to the inevitable is relaxation. The proper response to when plans don't go the way you think they should is relaxation. The proper response to the inevitable is relaxation.
Or ouch, but...
Yeah.
The ouch comes first.
Ouch.
We are sentient creatures, right? The pain comes, you have to deal with that. But the beating yourself up, why did I let the dog on my left when I saw the leash was to the right, or whatever it happened?
That's what I meant by forgiveness is the ultimate freedom.
Forgiveness, forgiving yourself for not having been who you weren't, which you couldn't have been because you were who you are. It all starts to feel like a little weird, the language there, but I think we're all around the same idea.
It's always a paradox.
Let me transition us to some prayer time. Oh, hold on. Maria, you have a list of names of people for whom we would like to pray. Oh my goodness, I am not in the right screen. There it is. Go ahead, Maria. You ready for us?
I am.
Thank you again.
This is the list of names of people to lift up and send positive energy to. Wayne, in loving memory, Emily and family, Francis, Maria, Marilyn Wilson, Rob B., Rita S., Phil, Linda, Carla, Donna, Pat and family, Bill and Vicky, Mary, Robert Siegel, Ann Siegel, Myra Hanna Botfrida, Butch Buys, the Cook family, Dominique McClure and her daughters, Mary Wolfe, Athena and Adam Dayer, Frank DeToma, Adam Kranick, Andrew Vasnick, David Dayer in spirit, Karen K., Raina, Tina, Lisa J., Patrick M., Enrique Salvo, Craig Lavielle in hospice, Joe, Leo Michael Applebaum, in loving memory of Ed M., Carrie B., and Roger P., Ed Leahy in spirit, Miss Kitty, Carol Colassa and Katie Waller, Ron McMahon, Ray and Patty, April, Andrew, Iggy, Michelle, and Lorianne and kids, Linda and Phil, Sammy, Paris and Robert, those struggling with mental health issues, and those who are alone. If there is another person in our community we can offer light and love to, please put their name in the chat and I will add them to the list in the clubhouse. And for the people who aren't named, but who are in our thoughts, we send them light and love as well.
And we're going to take a minute of time, and I'm going to ask everyone, if you have the ability to have your camera on, to just look at the screen and take in the people who are all here with love. We'll take a minute of time starting now. Thank you all. When I taught in high school, I taught inner city kids. I taught math. I taught love, but I was paid to teach math, so we learned a lot of math. And I was able to apply for some grants. And the grants that I applied for were for simple things like pencil erasers. And I had the most success with buying pencil erasers because the name of the grant was called "We Make Mistakes, Please Buy Us Erasers."
Ryan, I'm going to interrupt. You're still on the gallery view. You're showing all of us
Yes.
on your screen. Okay.
I thank you. I said we make mistakes. and people bought erasers, and then people would find and they would purchase other things for us. And every time an Amazon box came, I took the receipt, the packing slip, and I taped it to the wall until the wall was filled with just paper after paper after paper. And I would say to my students, do you know what these mean? These mean that random people you will never meet love you. This wall of paper means that you are cared for, and you will never know how much. And that's what I want you to do when you're looking at all the faces who are here on the screen. Look at the camera. Look at the people who are on the screen in front of you. You don't know all of these people, but all of these people are like one of those pieces of paper taped to the wall. These are all people who love you. These are all people who have their heart open for you. These are all people who hope to God they are being helpful and not annoying when they're trying to love you. I love that we have this tradition of taking a minute to look at each other to feel what love looks like. It's a really beautiful thing. One of the things I will never understand is why we as human beings seem to spend energy to not take in love. It's an odd thing that we do. It's an odd, I understand evolutionary biology that says, that bitter tasting things we don't eat bitter tasting things because they're more often poisonous than the sweet tasting things. I get that. I understand evolutionary biology that says that criticisms we hold on to because it reminds us of, that don't eat from that bush, that one was poisonous, and we remember the bad things more than we remember the good things. I get that. I don't get why we put up a barrier to love. I just know that we do it. And that as we are the ones who constructed that barrier or find that barrier in our life, that we are also the ones who can take that down. Sermon completed. Can I get a little bit of hand waving for an amen or hallelujah?
Amen. And hallelujah.
Thank you. Okay. Say that. Was that Emily saying something?
I'm just laughing. It reminds me, my old aunt used to say, glory.
Glory. Emily, while you made a comment, I want to make a mention for everybody that on next Sunday, if you're able to attend, we're having a memorial service for Emily's beloved Wayne, and that's going to be listed in the chat. How you can get there, and if I can do it right, there. If you go to lu.ma/lovewayne, you can show up and be part of that celebration of life of Emily's beloved Wayne. Thank you for inviting all of us to be with you, Emily.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. There's something I made mention of a few weeks ago, and it has come up in conversations with people. So I want to bring this. I want to reopen this can of worms. I want to revisit this issue. I mentioned a few weeks ago that when the kids were little, probably when they were 5 and 7, that there was a dinner. And I have to say, I am so sad. We used to have dinner every single night at 6 o'clock. And if you raise children, you know that those go for an infinite amount of time. Like, oh my God, it's dinner again. And now that they are 14 and 16, I'm like, oh my God, we don't have dinner every single night anymore. And I'm a bit heartbroken. But at one of these, when they were little ones, there was shouting that happened. And this one started shouting about that, and that one shouted back at this one about this, and I shouted, stop. Now, I know better. shouting, stop shouting, that's like going to war for peace. Like it doesn't work. But I shouted, and I have the ability based on anatomy and physiology to shout louder than anyone else. And I did. I didn't do this thing that I'm talking about today of not taking the dirty tissue. I shouted louder, and I got so enraged that I raised the chair I was sitting on above my head. Scared the shit out of everyone, including myself. I knew I wasn't going to do anything. Well, I know I didn't. But I scared everyone. It got silent for a minute. It was just like in a movie. It got silent for a minute. Everyone looked at me, and then everyone started to sob. And I ran to the bathroom, and I started to retch for, look, what have I done? And I shared this story briefly a few weeks ago. I didn't have to share this story. Oh, also, and then I apologized a few days later. I apologized in the moment, but I apologized again a few days later. And I told the kids, I said, should I ever scare you like that again, I will give you each $500, no questions asked. Each kid then tried to upset me for a little while. It was like a game. Hey, I would do the same. $500. You could scare me for a minute for $500. But and the $500, it was a sincere do, because I knew I never wanted to do that again. And I'm against shame in most instances, but there are moments where shame is important. And the shame that I felt for having acted the way that I did is wonderful, because it kept me from wanting to ever do that again. And plus the $500 bounty on my own head kept me from doing it, but I never did it again. Now, why did I share this story a few weeks ago? I don't remember the context, but I stand by my wanting to have shared it, because I think it's important to be open and honest and forthright. I don't always do this shit right. I have done it really wrong. And that was probably the worst moment in my entire life. Probably the worst thing I have ever done. But I felt compelled, and I felt compelled to share it, because we are not the worst things that we have ever done. We are much more than that. And whatever that worst thing that you have ever done and you are holding on to, yes, you did that. And it is not who you are. And I have no better example of that than our friend James. Our friend James, who is in prison for the worst thing that he ever done. And sometimes people say, well, what did he do? And I usually respond with, when you tell me the worst thing that you've ever done, I'll tell you the worst thing that he's ever done. And usually nobody wants to take me up on that offer. He did something wrong, and he is not that thing. And he has turned his life around. He's running self-help groups now at Pelican Bay State Penitentiary. And while I'm on the topic, I have made a commitment on your behalf that Religion Outside the Box will send him $300 worth of candy bars a month so that he can continue to run the self-help groups that he's running there. So let me take this as a moment for an appeal. If you're making a donation to Religion Outside the Box, I thank you. If you can help to up that monthly donation by a little bit so that we can get him to 300 candy bars a month, that will help him to be able to run the services that he is running in that prison. If you don't have the ability to do that, write him letters, give him other support. There are other ways of being able to be of help than just making donations. If you're able to make a donation to help, please do that as well. Alex, could you make sure that James's address is in the...
I did, and one thing I want to point out, this is super important, is that there are online services that allow you to send packages to prisoners, and I ask that people do not
Yes.
of their own accord do that, because James is limited in the number of packages that he can receive. He can receive one package per quarter. And if somebody goes, oh, I'll helpfully send James 10 candy bars, you've just blown it so that he can't get another package.
Thank you for reminding us of that.
If you would not send packages and instead send, contributions to Rabbi Brian, that would be better. And Rabbi Brian and I have been handling the packages.
Right. And we've had to skinny around it. So sometimes we send a package to one of his friends who's not getting a package because somebody lovingly sent him 5 candy bars. So please, and thank you. Other ways you can be of help. Hey, doesn't matter where you live, but if you are able to, or if you have the inner constellation where you think you are, do you feel like you can make phone calls to random people who might or might not tell you they might tell you you're a poopy head because you're calling them to remind them to vote? If you think you have the mental fortitude to make phone calls like that, Jordan,
yes,
you run a phone bank. I will be there later today. If people here wanted to help join a phone bank to encourage voters to vote, how would they get in touch with you to make that a thing?
I'll put my email in the chat, or I'll put the sign up link for the phone bank so people can see more information. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for mentioning this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and if, hey, this is, how am I going to practice getting yelled at on occasion by random people and not taking it personally? I have a great idea. Why don't you phone bank? Great. Not only,
now, Brian, you got to tell them that doesn't happen that much.
It doesn't happen that much at all.
Often.
For the most part, you're not even talking to people. If I get 1 out of 10 people to answer the phone, that's fantastic. You hardly ever get scolded. And when and if you do, that's why we do it together as a group. We meet back up live every half hour and we talk about, I just talked to the most lovely person who actually knows the candidate's mother from church. And we have a lovely time helping democracy be democracy. So if you can help out with that, that's fantastic. Other announcements. Anne, can you give us a little announcement and update on our clubhouse?
Sure. What do you want to know?
Hey, Anne, is our clubhouse up and running for people to join?
It is. It is. You just go to rotb.org and look for the link in the top right that says Clubhouse.
Is it really that easy, Anne?
It is that easy. If you haven't signed up yet, you just sign up with your name and an email address that you normally check, because you're going to get a confirmation email. Once you've received that and clicked on it, you'll get right back into the Clubhouse. Anytime you want to get in, you go to that Clubhouse link on ROTB. You can have discussions, so group discussions. You can send people private messages.
And it's a great way to follow up with other people who are at this service and other like-minded folks. So please join us at rotb.org and look for the links for the Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anne. Other announcements I have are, this is happening. Rabbi Brian's Highly Unorthodox Gospel is so exciting. Oh my God, this is so exciting. It is currently with beta readers. It's with a group of people. I'm going to give you a sneak preview of, here's the index at the end of the book.
Good.
To give you a sense of what kind of cheekiness is in store in the rest of the book. The index actually happens on page 417. So the word recursive, it's the only time the word recursive shows up is in the index on page 417, because it is
such a nerd, Brian.
And my smoothie, my morning smoothie, which many of you have seen me drink from, my morning smoothie gets mentioned at least 4 times in the book. So The book party is going to be on July 22nd at 8 a.m. That is during this service, so please show up to that. The book itself will not be available until after September, but I don't care. I needed to have a date for a book party, so I want to celebrate this book even before it's officially on shelves. So please join then. Other announcements. I'm going to give you a homework assignment. Homework assignment is to make a note to yourself. How am I handling setbacks? That's your homework. How do you handle setbacks? The homework is not judge yourself for how you handle setbacks. It's just notice, how do you handle setbacks? How do you handle when things don't go exactly the way that you planned? How do you handle when you have, I think I've said it enough times and I'm not going to repeat that one again. Yeah, I am. How do you handle setbacks? That's the homework. And I would like, before we conclude for today, hey, here's a little nugget of wisdom that I'm taking with me today. What is the moral of today's service? What's the thing that you wrote down on a piece of paper that you're going to keep track of, and that somebody says, oh, how was that service that you went to? And you say, oh my God, it was great. I remember and I learned blankety blankety blank blank blank. What are you taking with you today? What are you taking out of today's service? What's the little nugget of wisdom that you got?
We are not the worst thing that we have ever done, and that is not who we are.
I like that.
Amen. Thank you, Linda. We are not the worst thing that we've ever done, and that's not who we are. I have a favorite one that I remember, but I don't want to give mine until I've heard two more. Two more things that you took with you today.
Always to remember that someone to love, someone, something to do, and something to look forward to.
Can you say that? I missed the first words, Jack, so I didn't get the full thing.
Having someone to love, something to do, and something to look forward to.
Amen. I love that. And Ron, you got your hand up. What do you got?
I will not take the bait.
Yes.
I will try not to take the bait.
I will not take the bait.
Oh, you're doubling down there, buddy. I will not take the bait.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the one that I took from today, which I don't have the exact right words from, but sometimes our biggest critic that we need not listen to is ourself. Sometimes the biggest critic we have is the one between our two ears. And we can dismiss that one the same way that Ron is stalwartly decided he will not take the bait. Let's try that for next week. All right, I'm going to put the little thing on where we get to see everyone's face so we can wave goodbye to all the people who are not joined us live. So would you wave to all the peoples? Say goodbye to all those peoples. And I'm going to stop the recording. Wait a moment. I'm going to stop the recording now.